So now that we are done with the parallax script, let's add some more object into this scene. Now, here the view is a little bit far, so I'm going to select another view, which can be iPhone 6 for example, or 13 Pro Max, which is my phone, that's why I always use it. And let's add some more object. Now let's say you want to expand this platform right here. And luckily for us, in this template itself, we already have prefabs. Now, what is a prefab? Prefab is something that you put into the scene. Like for example, let's say this tile right here, and then this tile itself, you drag and drop it into the scene, which makes it prefab and allows you to use it more than once. So instead of always adding this object and modifying these changes right here, it will apply these changes to every single prefab. And I'm going to show you in a second. So for example, if we click on this one right here, and we go to the inspector, we see grass left, and we click on it, it will open up this window right here in the project. Now, we already have a folder for you called the prefabs, and it has everything right here, including grass mid, grass left. So let's say we want to expand this platform. So I'm going to move around and I'm going to hit Ctrl and I'm going to move this, and I am going to add some more tiles or more platforms in here. I can select this and Ctrl D to duplicate, and I can move it like that. Again, Ctrl D to duplicate. Or you can drag and drop this in here. Does that make sense? And if you want to delete it, you can do just backspace. But I am going to add more tiles, so I'm going to move this and I'm going to select this, Ctrl D to duplicate and move it around. Same goes for this one. Perfect. Now that is done. Now there's one more thing that you need to worry about now here. If I go to the surface and I show NavMesh here, this will basically show the NavMesh where the player can move. And you can see here that from this line to this line, the player can move, but the player can't move on the new tiles that we just set. And the player can move here on this one and on this one and this one, and it also can jump on these ones, right? So to make the player actually move on the other platforms, we select the platform, and you see here in the platform, there's something called a box collider. Now, the box collider basically is a collider that makes the player or the object tappable, or it can make it basically, you can interact with the object since it has a box collider. And if I exit the 2D mode and I zoom in and I show you, you can see here that you have a better view of this box collider, meaning that this box collider will actually let us tap on it. So it will allow the avatar to actually move when you tap on this place or this object right here. If we go back to the 2D mode and we find NavMesh in the inspector or in the hierarchy and go to the inspector. Now here you have to bake the NavMesh to make it work. But in the NavMesh, there's something called render meshes and physics collider. By default, it's render meshes, but this template has a physics collider. So make sure you change this to physics collider for this to work, because you basically want to render the physics colliders and not the mesh ones. Once that's done, you can hit bake. And you can see here that our NavMesh is now extended all the way to the end of the tiles. And if we exit the 2D mode, and you can see here that the NavMesh is actually expanded. Now, if we go back to the 2D mode and we hit play, and now we move the camera around and we hit or click on this one right here, you can see that the avatar is actually moving and it is working. Perfect.